Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to talk about a very controversial topic, and I see a lot of people raging everywhere I go right now. Every single form of social media, in my comment section, people are just blindly going even at me. Like, what is even going on in this community right now? The update has caused a lot of anger in the player base, so I'm going to be going through why a lot of people are angry. I'm going to be going through like the pros, the cons, and what Supercell should change about these Buffies. I probably will do an even more in-depth video about this in the future. Things don't change pretty quickly, but there's a lot to dive into, guys. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm not being paid by Supercell, either of the other creators to defend this update. You know, some people are just, you know, some people are pessimistic, some people are optimistic people. Me personally, just because I've just been on vacation for a long time, I've taken a big break from Brawl Stars, and after like a year of Brawl Stars being terrible, I just thought for once maybe I'll try and be more positive. Maybe that's me being deluded, but in the past I think I've been too quickly been harsh on the Brawl Stars updates in the past, and I should have given it maybe like bit more time to like settle down. But I can see why people are angry, especially if it follows the same type of format of hypercharges. Even though hypercharges did help Brawl Stars in the long run, definitely there were like reoccurring issues that should have been fixed a lot quicker, mainly to do with balancing. To be honest, I don't think many people complained about the prices of hypercharges too much. I mean, they were a bit pricey, not many people bought them with coins, etc. But eventually, you know, people didn't really complain about that too much. But yeah, pricing is definitely the biggest pain point here. So in terms of pricing of Buffies, again, I'll be playing my free-to-play account a lot more now, so I can understand, you know, the pain of not being able to just straight up buy the Buffies. I was very thankful as an OG player that still I have a ton of power points and a ton of coins, mainly thanks to like previous economy changes, and basically we were compensated way more than we should have. So the OG players, I feel like, still haven't dumped all of their resources from previous, I forgot what the word is, but yeah, my brain isn't working, I'm sick, guys, but you know what I mean. Economy changes, so I've still got a lot of power points, way more than I should have, so I didn't get to feel the brunt of it just yet. But free-to-play players, yeah. So basically, with 99 brawlers appearing after this update, it'll be costing people nearly 600,000 power points to fully max out a brawler now, and nearly 300,000 coins. So that is quite clearly just way too much. The average player is going to get nowhere near that amount. Again, I'm not this person that goes deep diving into the Brawl Stars economy. I don't do all of these mathematical equations like other YouTubers do. I'm more focused on like the meta, the balancing, and how it impacts the pro side of things. Of course, I still care about the casual play base, and I still care about, you know, primarily people that are watching this video, because I'm still one of these. I'm still a consumer, and I don't like completely just dump a whole load of money on the game. I never used to. I do sometimes for like videos in terms of like when new events come out, when I want all of the new power-ups. But yeah, anyway, that's a whole nother topic, guys. Again, I'm not being paid by Supercell. This is just my opinion, okay? Don't kill me for it. All right, next up, a big pain point about this, and I can definitely agree with you guys as well. So I know the pricing is definitely too much. I don't know how they should change it. Again, that's definitely for someone else to figure out, but it definitely seems like everybody's agreeing that they're still too pricey. But it's also the RNG of Buffy. So you can kind of think, right, with hypercharges, yeah, the price of it purely to buy should, of course, maybe be a bit more pricey when you're picking, like you get to just handpick what hypercharge you get, right? But when it's just pure, you know, the prices of Buffies are pretty high, and then it's just pure RNG. I mean, you can again buy Buffies, but it's just ridiculously high in terms of gem value. People are complaining a lot because what if you want to get your favorite brawler's Buffy? It's going to take a long while, and you just rely on the RNG factor, the RNG gods out there to give you that Buffy, but they're not gonna. So yeah, people are angry because, you know, for one, there's no mastery rewards anymore. I feel like Brawl Stars kind of just forgot about records. I know it's probably in their pipeline. Like, masteries was such a good feature in terms of the dedicated player base, the ones that sought after all of the really cool titles, a lot of rewards that you'd be able to save up. And if there was still that kind of thing inside of the game right now, I feel like a lot of people won't be nowhere near as angry. So they've not readdressed a former issue which a lot of people are angry about. And this new abilities came out, and people are just even angrier because there's less ways to basically max out your account the way that you want to. You have less involvement. The game is turning more and more and more RNG. So I know Brawl Stars will say, well, if there's more RNG rewards, like they're gonna implement like more events and more star drops, etc. But they also say as well, so the removal of star boxes, that was like the big brawl boxes, sorry. That was the big controversy a couple of years ago. And then the removal of brawl boxes did impact the play base a lot. So their Brawl Stars are trying to say like RNG is good in the game. But yeah, RNG can be good in the game because everyone wants that bit of dopamine rush. A lot of the younger audience, they like their gambling. No, that's a bit too wrong. I was just joking, guys. Okay, but what I was trying to say is, like, you need a mixture of both right now, and it feels like it's now gone the other way. Like a couple of years ago, yeah, there was like the club league shop, there was masteries, there's a lot of ways that you could predetermine your rewards. Now it just seems like it's going way the other way, and it's way too RNG based. So they need to find a fine line, and this is why I really think they should be looking at doing some changes to records sooner rather than later. Like, literally just rework that update, and then people would be nowhere near as angry. Next point I want to bring up is the balance of Buffies. So this is more catered towards like the pro players. I mean, it will affect a lot of people, but this is one thing that I look at the most because, you know, for me personally, the pricing can be a little bit annoying. But again, like I'm a high-end player, OG player, so I looked towards like how it will affect pro play, how it will affect ranked, etc. And one big point for me is that they definitely feel way too strong at the beginning. But I think with Buffies, it's a new mechanic, right? You got to give a little bit of leniency and say, okay, well, give it like a couple of weeks. I mean, it's quite clear that they're too strong now, but you know what I mean, like to fine-tune things, you know, give it a couple of updates. What they did with hypercharges, they did some really good changes after, well, it took them a bit too long, but you know, they changed it. So with hypercharges, used to be able to boost the duration of hypercharges and more damage you dealt. Then removing that really did turn down hypercharges a lot. Still, mechanically they were too broken, right? And they only got fixed literally like a month ago or two, which again, this is another pain point why people are getting angry, because the game only just feels just about right in terms of balance and in terms of not being overwhelmed because hypercharges were fixed, etc. And now they're adding another mechanic, people are just straight away just very scared. I mean, with good reason for the most part, but I can definitely see why they are scared of this change. So yeah, the balance, yeah, basically balancing is always going to be a funny thing in Brawl Stars, and which is literally like the key point of this channel. I always talk about balancing. I think if a game was completely balanced, it would not be fun, right? We'd have nothing to talk about, there wouldn't be any metas, etc. So always there's going to be some stronger brawlers, there's always going to be some overpowered brawlers. It's just this case in a lot of similar games like Brawl Stars, right? It's just how quickly the balancing happens. So we don't want to leave a brawler that's broken for over, I would even say a month. I'd say, I mean, when they're like stupid broken like Larry and Laurie, of course they need to be emergency enough much quicker. But in terms of like really strong ones like Kenji's hypercharge, for example, or a few other hypercharge brawlers, which, you know, they were like A tier, S tier brawlers in the meta, but their pure mechanic was just so broken and they weren't nerfed really for like 4 months plus. So I'm hoping that the balancing is a lot quicker on these. So yeah, it's going to lead to a lot of people getting burnt out pretty quickly if we don't look at balances in a lot quicker of a period. Again, like they started doing balance changes every 2 months. I think we need to be moving back to 1 month balancing for sure. Next up, one big pain point for me straight away before the update dropped, I was like, okay, so with Buffies, you could select all 3 of them at once. I think for whatever reason, when I first heard about Buffies, I just assumed that you could select only one of them. I don't know why I thought that, but 3 Buffies at once, that is kind of huge, right? When you think about it, literally a buff to the gadget, a buff to the star power, buff to the hypercharge. And not only is the hypercharge getting buffed in terms of your hypercharge affects your main attack, it also boosts the duration as well, so technically receiving a couple of buffs there. It's just a lot for one brawler, And that impacts the meta a lot, right? So again, think of when hypercharges came out a couple of years ago. A lot of the meta dictated around brawlers that had hypercharges. They just literally power crept the other brawlers stupidly. A lot of these brawlers would just get picked way more inside of ranked and competitive play. They were just getting banned out more. So it's kind of like this cycle again that people are just going to get a little bit angry about. I can see like both sides of a story here. So in terms of why they kind of do this is so there's more content with every single update, right? So, you know, every update there's something new and exciting, which completely makes sense in terms of a company standpoint. Also, you think of, again, I'm not backing up Supercell, but it's just pure facts with how small of a team they have, like how long it takes to make these things. I don't know. Again, I'm not a dev. I've not really seen how a day-to-day kind of work happen, like the work-life balance inside of Brawl Stars, but in that sense, like with Buffies it's even worse, right? Because with Buffies you think with every single brawler with hypercharges, with a brawler we have 1 hypercharge, so with every update 6 hypercharges, 6 brawlers, etc. With Buffies it's going to be 6 brawlers, not going to be 6 Buffies, it's going to be 18 Buffies, right? Because 3 Buffies per brawler, that's a lot of dev time. 3 Buffies at once. I was thinking the sweet spot would probably be 2 out of 3 Buffies instead of, a lot of people are saying 1 out of 3, which probably feels a little bit underwhelming and probably wouldn't, I feel like Brawl Stars wouldn't have released Buffies if there was to go ahead and say, okay, well, you can only select 1 of these 3 Buffies. That would feel a little bit underwhelming. I think 2 out of 3 would be the sweet spot. I don't know whether they're going to like swing over to 2 out of 3 so quickly. I think that would be a decision they would make after like 4 months after Buffies, 6 months, because it does seem like quite a quick and rash decision. But I think eventually that would probably be the sweet spot, because 2 out of 3, right? That's kind of perfect in a sense. Like, okay, so I can only have 2 out of 3 Buffies on my brawler, but I've got to then decide what kind of build I like. I've got to then in my head, you know, especially if like all 3 Buffies are kind of similar in terms of raw strength. Okay, for this matchup, I need to go with my hypercharge Buffy and my gadget Buffy. You know, this brawler has a fast charge and hypercharge. I'm going to get more value out of the hypercharge Buffy, etc. I think that would be a nice change, especially for ranked and draft play. But now, moving on to like this release cycle of Buffies, which I've already touched on a little bit there as I deviated from my previous point. So release cycle of Buffies is again people's biggest pain point, because if you're only releasing 6 Buffies per update for 18 Buffies per update for 6 brawlers, well, that's going to take forever. I didn't do the maths, I just couldn't be bothered, but I know that's at least 3 years, right, until every single brawler will have all the Buffies, which again just feels a little bit incomplete to me. I think that was one of my biggest pain points with hypercharges. Sometimes I enjoyed it, most of the time I got angry, but that was because of the mechanic. But also the release cycle, if it takes that long, you know, especially for like a brawler that I really enjoy playing, but I just know they can't compete in the meta because they don't have this really strong mechanic. It might even feel even more overwhelming as we get along on the brawler cycle, because these brawlers are getting basically 3 extra mechanics, 3 Buffies. So I think brawlers, as the meta go on, might get power crept even harder than hypercharge in a sense. Even though, again, when we're talking about my positive points, I think Buffies are probably better than hypercharges in terms of not being as broken. But let's move on to my next point in terms of why people are angry about this update. So this is a small one, can be a big one to a lot of people, but it's just a bunch of bugs. This happens with every single update, and it happens in a bunch of other games that I play. Bugs are bound to happen with updates, right? But it just feels like there's more and more bugs happen, and a lot of people would be very happy if they just did like an update. I mean, not just literally only on bugs, if they really focused on getting rid of so many broken bugs, especially competitive players have been raging for the longest time. For example, like B's Rattled Hive gadget bug. Inside of the game right now, apparently Brock's projectile is faster, and Brock's projectile speed got nerfed years ago, and somehow it's been reverted with this update. Mortis can go invincible. Mortis can also revive as well. I've seen 2 bugs with Mortis. Actually, I've seen about 10 bugs with Mortis. There's also the extra tile bug, which is back, which was a thing a year ago. Now it's back again. So basically one team has an extra like 2 or 3 tiles worth of vision. You know, one person, say if I'm on True Blue, I don't know which way around it is, but True Blue can't see the True Red player, but on the True Red player's screen they can see the other guy. So it doesn't make any sense. So there's a lot of bugs in this update, which again is going to anger a lot of people. And the last thing that has been making some players angry, especially the more hardcore players, I don't know whether you guys, okay, I'm not calling you guys non-hardcore, but I want to hear your opinion on this as well. In terms of aimable gadgets, it's definitely, people are on the fence about it right now. Again, it being a new mechanic, I want to give it the time of day, and I definitely get the thought process behind it. You know, aimable gadgets, this feels like another extension of skill. It adds more depth to the gameplay, which I completely understood when it first came out. But I think there definitely could be some tweaks with it, right? So claw players basically are heavily nerfed right now. So I'll show it in the training cave right now. So essentially with claw is that you'll be aiming, and before, well, you would have seen my tweet before, right? So before the update, you could aim with your attack, and then you could just click the gadget. So for example, with Colton's silver bullet, you could just click it and it'll turn your like normal aim. So you're just going to shoot out normal bullets. It would instantly just switch to your silver bullet, and you'll be able to break the wall open really quickly and just really smoothly. So claw players had a really good advantage there, and that's why I switched over to claw recently. And I definitely noticed my skill level improving a lot. It just did. That's actually a big reason why I got to pro rank, because I was able to take advantage of so many quick, decisive decisions with gadgets, with claw, etc. So now with claw, well, one thing, right, is because your gadget is so high up on the screen, it's really awkward to aim like clay pigeons and a few other gadgets. But maybe people get used to that anyways. Also, it's the fact that whilst you're aiming, you can't actually even click the gadget button now. So you can't even like auto aim it. So if, again, for example, Colt's silver bullet, you've literally got to let go of the aiming button and then click the gadget. Again, this might be just a thing of people having to get used to it. Maybe it's not a bigger problem than the pros are making out or I'm making it out. But in my head, it's just hardwired that I should be able to click my gadget button whilst holding down my attack. But I'm guessing this is, I don't know whether it can be changed. I would just love to hear from the dev teams whether they can change that. I would love for it to at least for you to be able to click the gadget button whilst aiming. Also, it makes me think of how some gadgets are going to be changed in the future. You know, for example, you know, gadgets that you have to click and then shoot. So for example, Piper's homemade recipe. What happens with that gadget, right? Like if it's, can it only, like say if you just click the gadget, does it just fire out a shot straight away? That's, you can't aim. I don't know, that's probably a discussion for another day. But yeah, aimable gadgets are in a weird spot for me. I kind of miss the old gadgets, but maybe that's just me being afraid of change, and we'll get used to it. I know a lot of people are scared of change. That's just human nature. So maybe aimable gadgets are a big win in the future. I'm hoping so, fingers crossed. So now let's talk about what I like about Buffies and why I'm trying to be a little bit more positive about this update before my voice completely packs in. And guys, I'm still a little bit sick and there's some personal things I'm dealing with. So yeah, I'm really trying to soldier through this video. Right, so what I like about Buffies personally is that I think it takes away a lot of the game being about hypercharges, and it moves it onto other things. So now hypercharges might not be the most, you know, impactful thing of a brawler's kit. You know, I was sick and tired of hypercharges just being this button where it just equal a couple of kills or just equal a team wipe. I'm kind of yet to see that with Buffies so far. But definitely some strong Buffies out there, like Emza's knockback, and definitely with Emza's star power hype, her being invulnerable. I think if those numbers were tweaked, you know, that can be a nice change. I still just think hypercharges mechanically are just always going to be way stronger than what Buffies can be, unless, yeah, I could be completely wrong. If the next batch of Buffies are just something absolutely insane, then yes. You know, the same goes for, I don't know, Mortis's combo, what's it called, combo spinner. His new gadget is very, very powerful. Definitely if they fix, you know, a few of the mechanics of it, you know, probably not being able to shoot through a wall, for example, is a bit crazy that you can shoot through walls with that gadget. And it does a lot of damage as well. But basically, if they fix that, it doesn't shoot through walls, and they add a bigger cooldown, you know, that's nowhere near on the level of hypercharges, right? I think I'm scarred mentally from hypercharges. Maybe I shouldn't be comparing Buffy's to hypercharges so much, but I can't help it. I'm trying to be positive. Yeah, I'm not. I'm bad at being positive, guys. I'm sorry. Right. Next thing I like about Buffies is, okay, I've already spoke about that point. Again, comparing it to hypercharged stars. So I'm guessing once they get their initial balance right with Buffies, it will be better than hypercharges, which, you know, basically the same point again. But lastly, Brawler kits getting reworked is a big win. So this is one thing I was looking forward to when they announced Buffies, is that every single time they're doing new Brawler Buffies, a lot of like gadgets, Brawler kits, star powers, hypercharges are going to get reworked. And for me, that's an absolute big win, because I've been saying for literally years and years and years, there's some star powers and gadgets that just have never ever been used, and they should have been balanced a long time ago. But I guess their thought process a lot, especially over the years, is that, okay, you know, instead of spending time reworking old existing things, you know, they'll keep trying to implement new things. And it did definitely work last year. It's not really worked this year, but in 2024 absolutely. But now I'm finally glad they're reworking some of these star powers. So some of the abhorrently bad ones I'm thinking of, like Sam's star power, I forgot what it's even called, is that bad. I think remote recharge, right? Yeah, like if Sam gets a Buffy, he's going to get a new star power, which is great. There's also like a few other ones I can't think off the top of my head because I'm completely brain fried at the moment, but there's so many star powers and gadgets I can think of that if they get reworked, and especially get some good Buffies, then it would make for much more interesting choice. My dream world is that at least, you know, in a Brawler's kit, you know, you can go to the draft screen and you're like, okay, well, I've got to actually think about what star power, what gadget to use here. And that's just not been the case, really. It is for like half of the Brawlers, but you know, when I do my best build videos, I'm like, some of these are just absolutely terrible and have not changed for years. And that actually excites me. Maybe it excites me more because I'm a content creator, and you know, at heart I'm a pro player, so these kind of balance and rework things really do excite me. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Again, I would love to go more in depth. Again, I don't think I'd ever go proper in depth about like the Brawl Stars economy and stuff like that, because I'm just not that tapped into it. But definitely are other YouTubers like Kairos. I think there's a couple of others out there that really dive deep. So if you want to hear that side of the story, you know, wait for their kind of videos. But for me, I think to kind of put things into perspective, I can definitely see why a lot of people are angry. I think I've got to give the Buffies update maybe a week or two to really give my absolute opinion on it. I think I've got to give it more time personally. I can see there's a lot of people quitting the game. I'm hoping they don't quit for good, because Brawl Stars is such a good game. I just hope as well that Brawl Stars don't just, I don't know, ignore all of the noise which is happening. I hope they, you know, speak out about it. They're really good at doing that, to be fair to the Brawl Stars team. They do listen a lot of the times. And I'm definitely hoping that they do a Time to Explain podcast, because there's been so many changes and so, I don't know, so much annoyance this year. There's not been a lot of Brawl growth either. I'd just love to hear from the dev team, you know, their reasonings for the pricing, their reasons for Buffies on a whole. Yeah, so I'm going to hold my judgment for a couple of weeks, guys. I'm hoping things will change fast in the community. It does feel like the end of the world right now from what I'm seeing on social media, and it's painful to see, right? Like, I don't want my favorite game in the world just to completely dive. And you know, me personally, I'm kind of liking some of the Brawly, you know, gameplay wise. The Buffy gameplay mechanics, I'm kind of secretly enjoying it. I just don't want to be too loud about it. But yeah, definitely some problems here with Buffies. That's enough yapping for me. You guys probably don't want to hear any more. I'll be doing another video on Pierce. I think he's coming Friday, and I'll continue to dive into the Buffy meta and give you guys the best information, and I'm hoping things improve rapidly. So yeah, that's gonna be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.